Thanks for joining us again. A little bit of a special treat on Halloween. We're also going to cover off on Halloween kills from this year. So we're just going to skip all the stuff. We're still on the crankshafts. Is that not correct?
Oh, of course.
We're still going.
Why drop that?
So once again, open up a crankshaft. Here's the trailer for 2021's Halloween kills.
I want to take his mask off and see the life leave his eyes.
Halloween Kills from 2021, directed by David Gordon Green, who directed Halloween 2018. It's produced by Malik Akkad, who produced Halloween 2007, Bill Block, who produced District 9, and Jason Blum, who produced The Invisible Man. It's written by David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, who wrote Your Highness, and Scott Teems, who has written the Firestarter remake. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, Judy Greer as Karen Strode, Andy Matischak as Allison, Anthony Michael Hall as Tommy Doyle, and James Jude Courtney as The Shape. The budget was $20 million, and at this point in time it has made $92 million worldwide. This is Jamie Lee Curtis's sixth time reprising the role of Laurie Strode, and that surpasses Donald Pleasance, who was in the series 5 times. All right, Maddie, thoughts? Halloween Kills.
Yeah, I don't know what it really added to the series. The part again from the end where you should sort of see the family connection and passing the torch down the line of the family members to sort of create some sequels. But overall, it looks really good. There's a lot of kills in there. So I sort of landed on a 2.5 for that.
2.5. Jared?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some real positives. I liked a handful of things that they did. I thought, as Maddie mentioned, I thought it looked really good. I thought some of the stuff they shot going back to 1978 was pretty great. I cannot get over the Donald Pleasance lookalike, but I think James Jude Courtney is a really good Michael, and I think some of the stuff that David Gordon Green shoots when Michael's doing what you know he's going to do is really good. But some of the mob stuff especially was a real miss. And where it kind of ends up, you feel like they're trying to tell us all that they're taking this really big turn in the series, but when you look at it, we're just sort of where we were anyway. That's kind of where I feel like I've ended up. In saying that, still really positive for the next one. So I didn't come out of it with feelings like I did after something like Resurrection or Rob Zombie's entries. So I'm going to sit at a 3.
I will agree on a 3. I think it's a bit of a middling second film. It's interesting to sort of be aware that it's a trilogy in advance. So you kind of already know that maybe things aren't really going to get pushed that far forward in this one. And it does a really good job with certain elements, especially with when Michael is actually on a killing spree. It's really well handled. And I agree with you, Jared. The 78 stuff is brilliantly done. But unfortunately, it's just evened out by these muddled messages about mob justice and this whole power of fear, and that just undoes a lot of it. And I think, Maddie, you hit the nail on the head while we were watching it. It was like it's confused. It's sort of, it chops back and forth between characters in weird times and in different positions where you're kind of like, well, we don't actually need to be here, do we?
Yeah.
So it just feels a little incomplete, almost, I would have said. But in saying that, yes, I think it's really, really well made. And I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
In terms of like what's the 8th or 9th installment, like there's sort of, I don't know if there's that much more to offer in terms of adding to what's going on, but I think it does a good job of perpetuating what the theme of it is. It gives us the cracking music. It's got some big kills in it, and it's got some really good things going for it.
Yeah.
Well, she's the 12th one at this stage, isn't it?
12th.
Is it 12th?
Yeah.
She Rob Zombie's
I've got to do
the
some
12th.
you
got a couple more to fill in.
Yeah. Some dodging is going on there. But.
Now, just to let everyone know, we will be spoiling this.
Yes,
right?
of course.
So we're not going to. If you haven't seen it, you want to wait until you've seen it to listen to this, because we will spoil what goes on.
Get on a Peacock. Or,
Jump on a Peacock.
Or as the honest trailer mentioned, most people prefer to brave death and go to the cinema and watch it.
Get Peacock. All right, straight into it. The likes. I think the performances across the board are solid. The only real major player wasn't in the 2018 one is Anthony Michael Hall as Tommy Doyle, and I actually think he's really good.
Yeah, just solid actors.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a really good cast of people. Obviously, you got Jamie Lee, decided to bring Will Patton back. I'm a big fan of, what's his name, Robert Longstreet, the guy that played Lonnie.
Yeah.
He does a bit of stuff with Mike Flanagan, so I've seen him in a few of those things. So, I think Anthony Michael Hall always brings a touch of class. I agree. I think the cast has done a really good job.
Yes, and I agree that James Jude Courtney is really good as Michael. He's kind of got this weird, almost like marionette type of movements about him. You know, he's really kind of he's a little bit jerky when he moves at times, almost like he's not human.
He's got the head tilt.
Yeah, like he's not human, and I think that's something that I'll lead up to as we talk more about this film. But I think it's a nice way to play him because he's seemingly not human.
He seems to go. I like the way he goes. The way that Michael just kind of strolls around and then just fucking goes bananas in these ones. I feel like he just.
There's those little subtle touches of menace, though, to it. Like, I really like the bit, it's later on in the film, but when he's sort of taking on Alison, and that's right, she stabs him in the stomach, and he grabs her, and then he kind of fucking pulls her up close to him like that. Like, and he kind of looks at her. Like, I thought that was really, like, just a slight little tease, but it's kind of like, it's sort of that intent.
Yep.
But yeah, good performances. Look, I said that there was problems with the mob justice stuff. I still think these ideas are interesting.
Well,
they are interesting.
But they build that up really quickly, and then it just peters into nothing.
But I think, I agree. I think the survivors of Myers and the impacts on the broader group and taking the wider view than Laurie, it's not such a bad idea.
Yeah.
And it makes sense when you think about some of the stuff that Hawkins goes on with, which turns into a bit of dribble by the end of it. But
the guy was medicated. Give him a break.
Yeah, I think he was jamming a couple of bloody syringes in his backside as well. Yeah. Different stuff than Laurie was taking. But yeah, the idea in general about how it affected the community more broadly, it started off all right. And I think they started off, how they're kind of, especially Tommy, how he's sort of like a townie who's hanging out at the bar. Kind of makes a bit of sense.
Yeah.
But it starts to lose track very quickly.
Yeah. And there is also the inference of the impact violence has on, on creating monsters like Michael and the impact the community, the way the mob justice comes about. That's brought up right near the end. Again, they're interesting ideas, and they're interesting ideas in this type of universe. So they're not the sort of thing that we've seen, greatly.
't something we've seen delved into
since Ted Hollister had his fucking head blown off.
Yeah. And even then, it was a very, it was pretty quickly touched on and wrapped up.
Yeah. So they're trying to dig deeper into that. So I applaud the filmmakers for that.
Yep.
And trying to to stretch what Michael is. He's not just a murderer. He's had this impact on the community of Haddonfield. But it comes with issues.
Yeah.
And we'll get to them. David Gordon Green, I think he's quite a good director. I'm not sure about his screenwriting abilities at times.
Well, there's certain points where I feel like he's really well suited, and I think one of those parts is directing the stuff with Michael. When it's time to have Michael knock someone off, generally it's all pretty good. Yeah. Over the previous two films, I've mostly been pretty happy with the work that he's done, and I think it's a step above some of the other stuff in the series in that regard.
Dominic and Gerard.
Well, maybe a step below that.
What was the other guy's name who did part 6? Someone Chappelle. It wasn't Dave Chappelle. It was Joe Chappelle. I wish Dave Chappelle had directed. He also does a decent job of creating the atmosphere of the original, and then also tying the similar style to 2018. So it still looks exactly like what we had in the previous film, and then the 78 flashbacks feel somewhat reminiscent of the original.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I think the 78 stuff in itself, I mean, where it goes with Hawkins' character, you can kind of take or leave that. But I feel if you're looking at it just in terms of how it looks and how it matches up with 78, I think they did a really good job of recreating what it looked like.
Yeah.
And the sequence, I mean, there's part of it that I don't like that I'll touch on later in terms of what it does to the original. But I feel like if you're going to go that way, it's hard to make it look any better than they actually did in terms of matching what it looked like, matching what the characters looked like.
Yeah,
I thought that stuff was really good.
Yeah, agreed. Michael, you touched on it before about Michael when he's killing. The stalk and slash stuff is the best part of the film. I mean, Michael is a nice mixture of that Rob Zombie aggressive stuff and the John Carpenter sort of, slow moving, slipping in and out of the shadows. It's a really nice mixture of that. And fuck, he's dishing out some punishment.
Oh, yeah.
One bloke, the bloke getting the bloody piece of glass shoved onto the piece of glass that goes through his throat. The woman getting the halogen light smashed and then jammed in her throat. Yeah. Then she watches on whilst he puts 6 knives in the bloke's
test
back.
A couple out.
Some of it was a bit overkill for me. Stabbing old grannies blatantly, and
I feel like
the stabbing practice on the dead bloke was just like this is gross.
It was, and I feel like they tested the line a little bit, but as you said, if you're coming from something like Rob Zombies, which I just felt like was way over the top, I didn't mind. See, one of the things I liked with Zombies was that he was exploring a more kind of brutal take on Myers, but he just went way over the top with it, I felt. This is kind of more in the middle ground.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go with, okay, Michael's going to kill a whole lot more people, I kind of prefer what he did in this movie than what he did in the Myers ones. I agree with Maddie. There was a couple of points where I was looking at it going, probably could have done without that. But in terms of the kind of style of some of the kills and the variations on what he does, mostly pretty happy with it.
Yeah, he kills off some of the more likeable characters too.
Yeah,
some of those little bit players and from the bar, and
they do trim the fat, which is my hope that then Halloween Ends might be a little more streamlined because you've got less of the characters that you have to sort of deal with because they've killed them off. He certainly sort of kills pretty much 4 or 5 of the characters from 2018 that were sort of carryovers. He then kills them, so at least we maybe can clear the slate a little. Coming back to the 78 flashback, I really like the shot of him standing out the front of the house, Loomis behind him, all the cops in front of him, the cameras pulling back,
sort of a recreation of
playing.
The kid Michael holding the knife a little bit. I thought that was pretty good as well.
And I'd forgotten, because we've watched this a couple of times now, but the stuff about Lonnie.
Yeah.
he's being bullied, even though he was a bully in the original, but he was also being bullied on the side by this other group of fucking assholes.
I like the reframing of that.
But then I liked the fact that he comes into contact with Michael.
Yeah.
Walking down the street.
As you said, that other group. I mean, the male in the Mulaney group. Holy
twins or something.
Yeah. He looked like if Chucky was a real boy. He was scarier than Michael. I mean, get that fucking kid out of here.
Yeah, the only time I asked Puckett during the film was when he came on.
That was a big scare.
And one last thing from 78, I did like the copper saying that, you know, he used to look out his sister's window all the time, and then he walks up to look out there, and he looks down and he sees the boot prints there.
Yeah.
And then Michael just comes out of the closet at 1,000,000 miles an hour and sort of takes him out.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice. It was probably the closest we got to a really solid jump scare.
Now, was there a shot at Rob Zombie in the 78?
I think
I felt
roughly.
like it was where they said, you know, I used to hang out with Michael, and one of them says, was he the type of kid to pull wings off butterflies and stuff? Obviously, that's not necessarily what Michael did in the Rob Zombie ones, but it was the same sort of thing, like torturing animals and stuff. And he kind of just goes, nah, not at all.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Not that I saw.
I'm here for that. That was obviously being probably the thing I hated the most about Rob Zombie's take on it was injecting that backstory into it.
Yeah.
I was okay with that. But before, you know, we sort of move out of the 1978, I feel like the Donald Pleasance recreation has to be fucking mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Because it looks outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean,
it doesn't sound very good,
No,
unfortunately.
the audio issues are there. Like, it doesn't seem to sync up.
No.
But the way that he looks, and knowing that was all just a guy, what was he? He was a fucking carpenter on the set or something, and they thought he looked a bit like Donald, so let's put a few prosthetics on him. It looks fucking
pretty
uncanny.
outstanding.
So,
They do a really good job there.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Bad luck to that bloke's head.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd make a good living for himself now. Just fucking turn up at conventions looking like that. Make a monster.
You get some photos.
What I've and yeah, I talked about Michael's all the deaths and stuff, so they were peppered throughout. But what I've noticed with my likes is a lot of it's top ended.
Yeah,
The early part of the film
parts.
is quite good.
Absolutely.
Things start to go downhill after about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And one of the best sequences in the film is him actually coming out of the burning house.
The fireman is great.
Oh yeah, he really cuts a fucking swath.
I like that.
Even just the Jamie Lee Curtis saying, "Don't go in, let him burn."
Yeah.
So good.
But I actually like the fact that they actually explained how he survived the fire. He's actually in the gun cabinet
Yeah.
that they had.
I mean, it's a flaw in her design, but hey, we'll look
But
past
I
that.
like the fact that
The
they at
perfect
least
plan.
tried that instead of he's just in there.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the firefighter sequence too, when he walks out, from that point on, I look at it and I'm like, it's the kind of sequence that someone like Michael Bay shoots
Yeah.
and thinks you're going to sit there and go, oh, fuck, that looks cool.
Yeah.
But Michael Bay rarely hits the mark.
No.
And I feel like, you know, this is where David Gordon Green gets some points. I did look at that and I kind of just, you know, you switch the brain off for that 45 seconds to a minute and go, oh, yeah. That
First one's
looks
great.
really
Straight
cool.
through the mask.
Yeah, through
and it's
the
all
mask.
shot from inside.
But a couple of the other ones where they're not quite silhouetted, but they're almost like that with the fire just raging in the background. It looks fucking awesome.
And how he comes out and he just hefts up that arm.
That's it.
And they take hold of their axes. It's like a showdown, you know.
That's right. When he first steps up and he kind of, you know, he's dragging that thing and then he, like you said, he takes it into the hands. You're like, that's the moment where you're like, okay, we're on here. We're back in the mix.
And as far as likes go, and again, as I said, when Michael's killing, it's peppered throughout. But the last one for me is that actually inside the scene inside the car where he's stalking them and he's on the roof. A lot of that was really good.
Yeah, portions of it.
I
There was a
thought-
couple of things I didn't like so
I
much.
thought a
but
lot of that was quite handy.
the kills in there were pretty good.
Yeah. I didn't like the fucking "This is for Dr. Loomis."
No, I did not like that.
That should not have been in there at all. But
Yeah, it was a bit misplaced.
That's right. Around a similar time, one of the nods that I liked, and I felt like a few of the Easter eggs and the callbacks to the other movies in this were a failing. I felt like they were really clumsy.
Yep.
At a few times, but one that I really did like was the silver shamrock skull mask on that kid. And then when they talk about Michael playing hide and seek or whatever, and you see him standing there and he's fucking holding it, it's just dripping. You're like, ooh,
he's killed the kid.
That was I actually really liked that one. And I think that mask in general is that's the pick of the silver shamrocks for mine. That one's really cool, so I like that. I also liked that. Our mate the sheriff with the cowboy hat was back. I really like him for some reason, but even though he gets lost in the shuffle, I'm glad that he's back, and I hope he gets a little more to do in Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
So that was a like for me for sure.
I
liked him dejected on the stairs at the end of it.
Yeah.
Where he sort of realises, it's that realisation that the whole fucking thing's out of control.
Yeah.
You've not only got a murderer roaming the streets, but you've also got this group of people who've got no concept of what they're killing. And I think that could have been handled better, and I'll probably talk about that in the dislikes as to how you possibly handle that a little better. But that sequence on the truck, on the car where he's on the roof and everything, he stabs the bloke through the eye, and the girl comes shooting at him, and then he kicks the door and she shoots herself in the head accidentally. And then I really like the idea of Lindsay sort of taking him on.
Yeah.
With the bag of bricks.
Yeah. But as we mentioned, and I think, Maddie, you brought it up. I mean, we've spoken about it. Lindsay's knocking up a 3-minute K.
Yeah, get out of there.
She does. She fucking puts on the sprint and she gets out of there. And she has to hide and gets a little bit lucky, but fuck. She made the right move. Made the right call.
Yeah. She decides, fuck, I'm out of here.
Get the fuck out of there.
I don't challenge Shaq to a basketball game.
That's right.
Correct.
Well, I mean, what Lindsay does is she steps up and she says, "What do you got?" and fucking tries to knock down a jumper or something. Yeah. Gets it swatted back in her face and then says, "Yeah, we won't play. We won't play today. Oh, this is not my game." And gets the fuck out of there. Yeah.
We're playing full court. I'm going back.
That's it. Yeah, no, we're shooting free throws, Shaq. That's what we're doing.
So, what are any other likes from you guys?
Yeah, the score.
Yep.
I think taking cues from the original, obviously, but it's been a real win for this series getting Carpenter back to collaborate with his son and his their mate, Daniel Davies, is it? I think his name is. I just feel like, obviously, Carpenter hasn't been making movies for a while, and it feels like the music is what he's doing these days. Yeah. So to allow him to kind of have that input, I mean, the scores of the previous two have been right up there with the best.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I loved when they kicked off the Halloween theme in this one, and they had a little bit of a choir in there. I think it suited really well, and they just kind of extend. Like, you listen to some of the pieces and it's like they're taking the pieces that were already existing from the original Halloween and just extending them. I think I've been a real big fan of the scores in these two. So that's definite win for me.
Definitely.
I liked bringing the doctor and nurse couple back. I thought having them as sort of a conduit for, like, having them hold over from the previous movie where they were barely in it. To kind of being the conduit for introducing new audiences to, like, Tommy and Lonnie, and I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I think they were a really likable presence.
Yep.
So I thought that was a nice touch. I would probably have
a slight dislike to them, and it's more about timing, how much time for certain characters, and the fact that there's so many.
Yeah.
We kind of lose some key people in the shuffle.
Yeah, I feel like if the mob stuff is gonna be prominent, which it feels like it probably should have been, I think they needed to do it a little better. But I liked them being the intro.
Yes, I totally agree, because it worked. It felt right.
Yep.
Anything else from your end?
That's me wrapped up. Unless Maddie's got.
No, that's my likes. Yeah.
All right, dislikes. The Strode ladies are just basically put on the back burner.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yep.
They try to kind of bring Karen into it late, but it feels a little bit shit. You know, we've got this character, we've done nothing with her.
Yeah.
Fuck, we need to do something.
Feels like, I mean, it almost feels like they should have just sidelined him completely.
I think they were trying to build up to the big end.
Yeah.
But it didn't. But like, if you're not going to, like, the way I see it is, if you want us to care about that big ending, that ending, you needed to put Karen at the front.
Well, this is the thing, right?
Make the story about her.
We're talking about, you know, we've spoken about building up to a big ending and building up to Halloween Ends. By the same token, Halloween Kills is its own movie, and as it stands, it doesn't work in that regard.
Yes.
So something had to be done. Are you going to hold them over till Halloween Ends, or are you going to make them more prominent in this one? It was caught in the middle somewhere, and they just got shuffled off to the side.
Because I'm a bit with you, Jared. You had so many characters, and we were trying to give them time. In a way, you could have sidelined Laurie entirely.
Well, she gets fuck all to do as it is.
But you could have even just sidelined her further and just said she underwent surgery and she was fucking out of it.
Well, I mean, her entire part of the movie is she's laying on a bed having a chat to Hawkins, tries to get in the fray, isn't up to it, obviously because of the injury she suffered, and then she's back in bed. So why do you even just leave her in bed the whole movie if that's what you're going to do with her?
It didn't. It's not like we were confused that she was going to go and fight him.
Yeah.
She didn't have the opportunity. She couldn't move.
Yeah.
Unless he came to her, they were never going to come in contact with each other.
Yep.
So the problem was that you need to decide that Laurie was not going to be a part of Halloween Kills. Like, to me, it would have been a simple thing as we will see her at the start.
Yeah.
But we will not be seeing her at all in this film.
Yeah.
Her next part will be the big finale, which is Halloween Ends.
But as you said, if Karen's the one that can be, I mean, she's the one that can sort of take it on.
I would have put her in front because you want at the end to be meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, her and the daughter both they try to put them in, but as you said, it's kind of too late. And what they're doing with them just feels like they just tack them on to stuff that's already happening, and their role in it is pretty minimal until the end.
Yeah. And it just sort of feels like we're trying to give her another big moment like we did in the first one. The first one felt more organic.
Yeah.
The way we brought her to the front. And the reason why I think it worked in 2018 was we kept Karen on the back burner a little bit. We had her as kind of like the nagging sort of woman who was like, this, you know, you've got to get your shit together. And I can't handle this. And then suddenly she switches at the end and shows that she can handle it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you're going to, and spoilers for people, you're going to kill her.
Yeah.
You needed to give us something to root, like, to feel like we lost a character we cared about.
Yeah.
But we don't feel that way because we sidelined her in this film too.
Yeah. Well, I sort of, you know, after the first film, you sort of did. They put together this ending where it was like, yeah, we've got the Strode girls together.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's this whole Strode Strong stuff that they're talking about. But like you said, she gets nothing to do other than the penguin angle and then into the ending.
Yeah.
And it's just not enough. It's just there's so much going on in the movie that it all just gets lost. So they really needed to trim something out of it and hold it over, or just say this isn't going to make it or something like.
Yeah. And look, this is the key. The next two for me are the key dislikes, and they really derail the film a little bit. I understand mob mentality and I understand vigilante justice is what they're aiming for, but it's just so... They never quite nail the idea.
No.
It really just comes down to people chanting "Evil dies tonight."
Yeah.
That's about it. Tommy sort of whipping up a few people.
Yeah.
If you wanted to fix that, all you needed was to streamline it. That Tommy was the fucking agitator.
Yeah.
Was the one pushing getting people together and rallying them, and then get out on the street looking for him.
But as you said, okay, so Halloween 4 We take 5 minutes with the winos, the barflies and $10 stuff. We end up with the same thing.
Yeah.
But we took this whole Tommy building from this speech in the bar to this fucking rallying cry in the hospital to
we accidentally chased down the wrong man.
accidentally chased down a hobbit.
Yeah. God almighty. Mistaken identity.
Poor Oswald Cobblepot.
And where we've ended up with when he's laying on the ground is essentially where we got to with $10 stuff, where we say, well, this isn't the answer.
Exactly. Holy shit. Who'd have thought mob justice doesn't work?
But then the issue with this one is they roll it back. Like they give us this whole thing about mob justice, and then at the end, we're going to try to take Michael down with a mob.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you telling us then? Like, what are we getting at? I was left sort of confused about what the end message was.
See, for me, what it would have been, the better way to handle it would have been stir up the mob, forget the mistaken identity angle, try and come up with a better angle to showcase that mob justice is no good.
Yeah.
Even if it's...
the whole mob gets slaughtered.
But I mean...
But even if it's just something like... half the mobs fucked off and started bloody robbing places and beat the shit out of a couple of people because they thought they were Michael or something like that.
Yeah.
That's Michael.
Yeah, well, that's right. A few people get fucking beaten up because they think they're Michael Myers. But wasn't that what worked in Halloween 4? That they shot that guy because they thought he was Michael, but really he was just some bloke in a fucking Halloween costume on Halloween.
Well, fuck, you could even go with, we ran Ben Tramer down with a Formula 1.
Yeah, Peter Brock turned up on, he's supposed to be doing 40Ks on the street.
He rounded the corner at 150.
Yeah, and I mean, like Evil Knievel, it looked like the vehicle was already on fire before he fucking hit him.
Yeah, he just jumped a ravine.
Yeah, mows down Ben Tramer. Oh, shit, well, this isn't the answer, is it?
No, but what you do is you streamline the mob justice stuff, and if you wanted to have Michael and you wanted to walk away from say, well, mob justice isn't the way to do this, you actually have Karen lead Michael into a trap with perhaps just her and Tommy.
But the problem, I guess the issue is that the mob thing feels like the major through line of the piece.
Yeah, it's fucking fluff.
But then we pivot. that's one way to put it.
It's your key message, but you
that's right.
fucked it up. Well done.
Yeah, that's right. It's the most important part of the picture, and you fucked it royally. But I just didn't. The big thing for me was I didn't necessarily dislike that angle. But as we said, it went to some places where it just felt like we were losing control. We'd lost the reins for a while.
I mean, there's a sequence where they're chasing fucking Samwise Gamgee through the hospital. And the reason why I say this, to let the listeners know, is they try to insinuate that two escapees from the truck. One of them's fucking Michael Myers, who's 6'3" and looks like brick shit house, and one of them's this fucking midget guy with
Danny
long
DeVito.
hair who fucking mumbles to himself.
I mean, it's Twins Part 2. Like it's we have Danny DeVito and then we have a big 6'3", as you said, brick shit house, and somehow we get them mixed up.
Yeah. So there's a sequence there.
Confusing James Gandolfini and Joe Pesci.
It's ludicrous.
We see Tommy charging up the stairs, and he's followed by the entire fucking doctorial
As you said,
and one bloke's going, "No!"
the entire fucking medical staff is charging up behind you. You would think one of them would have the sense to say, "Hey, let's just settle this down."
Everyone's getting in on it.
There are other patients that require our fucking assistance. We can't get involved in this shit.
But as you said, Adam, we're talking about whipping up a mob. It seemed like you were in the perfect place. You were in a bar full of licking up lunatics. And you leave there to start whipping up a mob, and then you end up at the hospital. As you said, surely people are there going, yeah, evil dies tonight. I'd love to help you, but my heart's not up to it at the moment. I mean,
dude. I'll see if I can get into a couple of... I'll get on the phone to a couple of my buddies and see if I can get them involved.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm in, but I've got a broken leg. Can I ride shotgun?
I'll have to be more of a background player in this one. Yeah, what though, Jared? You're absolutely right. I mean, I know back in my younger days, if I was ever looking for a bit of mob justice, I went down to the Blind Beggars
That's right.
and started fucking thumping tables.
Yeah, I mean, in that environment, they don't even have to know what you're saying, but if they see you with a fist in the air and kind of a rhythmic motion, there'll be a clapping and fucking following along before you know it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in the hospital, you turn up and the fucking person behind the desk goes, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah. It'll be a fucking 2-hour wait. Sit down.
Yeah. What's your Medicare number? If you don't have one, fuck off.
Yeah, the hospital was not the place to stir up that shit.
No, I didn't feel like it. And as we've kind of alluded to, like the mistaken identity angle is fucking laughable.
Yeah.
It is just ridiculous. I mean, it's pretty sad when the bloke jumps out the window, but what's led up to that? But what's led up to that is so stupid.
And we sure he wasn't chasing a ring.
I thought he
diving out the window.
I was thinking he might have thought he had a trick umbrella up his sleeve to kind of just float down to the ground safely, but it's just
so
bullshit.
silly.
Because we see that the likes of Tommy have already seen in the bar the two photos, for one.
Yeah.
But as you said, any of those people that were somewhat involved, even the people who weren't involved, know Michael Myers is a pretty big unit. And he's not a fucking rotund,
I can say it right now.
5'2" individual.
Fucking 20 people are dead. I'm not looking at the 5'5", scraggly head, fat loser running through the hospital.
And did we also mention that, Michael Myers hasn't spoken for fucking 45 years or whatever? But this bloke's sitting there going, "Help me, help me."
His fucking larynx frozen up.
He hasn't got the grip strength to knock one out, let alone knock someone's eyes out.
That's right. Oh, man. And then the other thing that really bothered me is when you see them, like you see Karen looking across at Tommy going, "It's not him." And he's kind of sitting there going, Like, it's like, just yell out, "It's not him." Like, this is not, it feels like it's so ridiculous, but then when they get to the point, there is still a resolution. Yeah. And they just fuck it. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah. They really fucked that up.
It was,
it's on par. It's on par with the Sartain. Twist in 2018.
Yeah, probably.
It doesn't ruin the film, but it fucks up the kind of the messaging you're going for. And as I said before, it's your key point, but you cock it up. It's your key message, but you cock it up.
Yes.
And that's really key. Now, Big John and Little John.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's so stereotypical. And it just felt really kind of forced.
Yeah, I just feel like, we're putting a gay couple on screen and supposedly treating them respectfully, but it just feels like, as you said, stereotypical. I mean, they can't just be sitting there having a couple of beers or a glass of wine. They've got to have a fucking cheese board and be dipping honey and all this sort of stuff.
and we've got to see fucking Big John upstairs smoking weed, dancing to some Halloween song. Like, that's how we're introduced.
Yeah, I actually like them as characters and, again, as actors. And, of course, Adam, their names I've got an issue with because there's no way they're not referring to their cocks. And, again, we're supposed to be treating them respectfully, and I look at it and I'm like, they're Big John and Little John because one of them's got a bigger dick than the other. And then I thought to myself, am I being kind
Why
of...
am I laughing?
I said to myself, am I off here? But then I'm like, no, that's right. It was written by Danny McBride. Of course that's why they're calling each other Big John and Little John. Because I look at him and I'm like, there's not a massive size difference if I'm talking height and weight. Yeah. And I just looked at it and I'm like, this is just off. It just felt really off.
Yeah, it didn't work out. And for me, it was too much stereotyping going on.
Yeah,
And
I
it just didn't
felt
work.
like that too.
I think you sort of summed it up. It's like they wrote a gay couple, but they don't know anything about a gay couple.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, what do we think they might do? Oh, they don't have cheese. Come on.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I could
might
be
be wrong.
off.
I might be wrong, but it felt really kind of put on.
Yeah. And if I'm off on why they're called Big John and Little John, I'm happy to be corrected. But I just feel like when I look at the writing team and I see Danny McBride, and I have seen Your Highness, we're talking about a movie where a bloke's wearing a dick around his neck as a necklace. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm wrong.
No, I think you're correct. My last dislike is I know that Michael is kind of supernatural. Like there's an element of the supernatural to him, but it felt even more so here. I mean, he gets a fucking pitchfork in the back, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And just gets up. And when he gets
We shook off a couple of shots again from the gun.
Yeah, he fights off an entire group of mob-wielding, pipe-wielding motherfuckers. Pipe swinging motherfuckers. He fights them off.
Iron-wielding.
After getting hammered.
Cricket bat wielding. All sorts of iron wielding, yep.
He gets up. Now, I know they're trying to position the fact that he's not human. You know, he's evil and there's something about him as we create this violent society around him. He gets more and more, gets stronger.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, it just kind of went against partially what they produced in 2018.
Yes.
When he wasn't like that.
Well, they keep saying he's not supernatural. He's just a resilient human being, whatever. But this one... No, doesn't say that.
That's what I said, though. If I'm giving the pitchfork into his back, I'm fucking standing on it.
I mean, resilience is fucking shaking off a rolled ankle, not not shots.
Yeah, I can play on
for the fourth quarter.
That's right. That's right.
It's not fucking getting shot point blank range and then just getting that. Nothing happened.
Yeah, he gets thumped in the back with logs and things. And
so...
A lot.
It's very different. The first one, it's sort of like he fell out a 2-story building and then disappeared. And that was the extent of the supernatural power that he had.
Yeah.
In this one, he's like... He's managed to get somebody up in the crawl. I've tried to lift a box up the stairs into the crawl space. He lifts a whole body up there without making a noise.
Well, the thing about it is...
up there, then fucking sandwich him into the fucking roof.
That's in there.
And the funny thing is, she looks up there and he's head, hands, fucking feet.
If you had that much strength, you'd just jam things in all the time, I'm sure.
It looks like he's just been just squashed into a little cube and then shoved up there.
He's gone into the deadlights. That's what's happened.
You're right. It just kind of goes too far.
But that's the thing. Like when you think about the original, there's that element of mystery there, right? Like he fell off there and then he's gone.
Yeah.
It really feels. It really,
you've got to fill up the gaps yourself.
Yeah, and it really lines up with what they're talking, the boogeyman or whatever. With this one, they just go all out and say they just show you on screen. Nah, he's basically unkillable. And I mean, there's something to that. I mean, I read sort of Joe Bob Briggs's breakdown of it on his Patreon sort of page, and he made a really good point about, hey, it's one of the few times they've actually done this in a Halloween movie where they basically tell you straight up, hey, you're not getting the happy ending. He's not going to die. But by the same token, it just feels like you said, they kind of try to confirm that, he's supernatural, but they just do it right in your face to the point where it's just like, it's kind of unsatisfactory in comparison to, like you said, like we mentioned, the mystery and the filling in the gaps yourself previously. Yeah. So that's a bit of a disappointment.
Any other dislikes from you?
Oh mate, I've got tons more. Yeah. For a movie that I thought was 3 stars, I have a plenty to go through. I mean, Lonnie's son, just
dildo.
I didn't need him back.
No.
And
read the room, mate.
Yeah.
You've had a prick of a night. You've shown your true colours.
Just leave it
Yeah,
alone.
just go away. And just the sight of Drew Scheid just shits me after that first movie. I mean, look, he's probably a nice bloke and a decent enough actor, but just the stink of him in Halloween 218 just bothers me. The 1978 stuff, loved it. Does detract a little bit from the original ending.
Yeah.
And I think, we already didn't we already talk about this in the original where they wanted to continue on him getting caught and John Carpenter told them, it's not a great idea.
Maybe.
And then they went and did it, and I love the look of it, but I kind of look at it now and I'm like, I kind of would have just preferred him to be disappearing after falling off the balcony again. But the other thing that I dislike about it is it leads to this, it places this importance on Hawkins' story.
Yeah.
Which then just gets fucking
Peter's
left
out.
down
He
again.
doesn't really keep saying it's not about you, Laurie. He kept looking out the window and you're thinking there's a big reveal as to what he was looking at.
Yeah.
When
But
the
he
big
wasn't.
reveal is he's looking at himself.
Looking at himself.
Not himself, yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
He's very protective of that spot.
But this, again, it's not about you, Laurie.
The best sunlight comes through that part of the window.
I want to get a bit of sun in there.
he's,
But it's,
he's trying to tip up his hair. You fucking idiot. Honestly.
that's what his mask would have used this time around. A little bit,
possibly.
a little bit of tipping. But it's the whole "it's not about you, Laurie" really shits me because
We kind of
They kinda-
insinuated in 18 that it was.
well, that's it. Like we said that it's not his sister. We went to great lengths to say it's not his sister, but he still he didn't go straight home in that one.
No.
He went and, they say, it was Dr. Sartain that fucking drove him there or whatever. The less we talk about that, the better.
Don't get me started
But-
on that. Here we go.
So what we get to after the whole mob and the supernatural stuff is, okay, so he's just the boogeyman again. That's where we
We've
were.
been there, though. We've
That's
been
where we
there.
were. Even when it was about Laurie. In the first one, that's where we were.
Yeah. It just feels like no progression. You hit the nail on the head, Matty. The film seems to have no real progression to any of what we were after. So even with 2018 progressing things a certain distance, we then seem to be just in the same place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Well,
My
maybe-
hope is that Halloween Ends has some corker sort of explanation for all of this, or
Yeah.
an
It
interesting
better go
motive
somewhere.
down there.
Sartain, still alive.
Sartain's still alive.
Member of the Cult of Thorn.
Fucking hell, if they bring back the Cult of Thorn, I mean, I'll watch it. But I'll be fucking happy about it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll
I
be
think
for
the
it.
third one could easily turn into like the third part of Split and Unbreakable.
Yeah. That really
totally.
botched those ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could just descend into ridiculousness.
Madness. Just
Which
like
is-
last did.
Which is a bit sad because, the big dislike with him just openly killing everybody and being unstoppable, it really does take away from what I thought was really cool about Halloween in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
And the other thing about Halloween in the first place too, like as I said, I think the exploration of the rest of the town is good, but the original Halloween, if you're going right back to that, it was supposed to be this. The scary part was it was supposed to be this community of people, but when the shit hit the fan, no one was there to help you. And they even have those instances of going to the doorstep and ringing on the doorbell, and people are fucking turning the lights off and shutting the curtains and stuff like that. So it kind of goes in opposition to that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've still got quite
If
a
I
few
lived
things
in
to
that
tick off
house,
here.
in that town, I'd be holding up like the pledge, like the what's that movie?
Purge.
The Purge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's another one of my dislikes. I thought Haddonfield was a fucking small town. We seem to have a cast of fucking thousands. By the time we
So
get to
many
the
people.
hospital, like I said to you, Adam, the hospitals in New York aren't as busy as fucking Haddonfield Memorial seem to be that night.
I think their doctors and medical staff have to do their job, not charge up the stairs after a fucking small man.
But as you said, when we're discussing this, It's a small crew at Haddonfield. I mean, some people are flying in for the weekend to fill stuff out. We need you to drive down here just for Saturday, Sunday to deal with the rush because it's not a big hospital.
Well,
I don't know.
The problem was in Halloween 2, no one was in it.
That's right.
We went to both extremes.
We had more staff than fucking patients in the original Halloween 2. So that was kind of funny to see. The nods, the Easter eggs, they mostly miss, and some of them miss really badly. Why is Marion there?
I don't know. Why is Charles Cyphers there? He has not aged well.
He's not aged well, but he's dropping the one good scare line was supposed to feel like a fist pump moment, but I just kind of I groaned at that one.
Well, he fucking fist pumped and then grabbed his heart. His fucking heart.
Yeah, well, he was one of the people who should have been staying at hospital when they were putting the mob together. I didn't mind so much what they did with Lindsay, but again, it just felt like she was there for the 10th scene, and then her use is done to the story. So I don't know. Maybe they've got something up the sleeve there as well. But again, it just felt like you're adding to these issues by adding all these characters to too many storylines already.
Yes, they just kind of overfilled everything.
Yeah, definitely. Some dialogue issues. Couple of real stinkers. The old couple, oh fuck, there's a big dude in a monster mask. And the old bird goes, what the fuck does he want? I don't know, but let's not talk about it. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Evil Dies Tonight was just, it was said too many times.
Yeah.
It just felt like every 2 minutes someone was saying Evil dies tonight, or he dies tonight, or Michael dies tonight, or it just felt like too much. And Big John and Little John, he stabbed his sister in the tits.
Yeah. Fuck Big John, come on.
And I think it's Little John that goes, Michael, you came home.
Yeah.
I mean, have you confirmed that it's Michael? Are you sure? I thought Michael was 5'2" and pudgy.
Yeah, and then fucking Tommy pipes up with over that shit. He goes, "We haven't seen him without his mask. Are you sure it's not him?" 100%.
Yeah, 110%. He's not Michael Myers.
Yeah. Everything peters out real quickly after they realise that's just a fat bloke.
That guy is a nobody. He just jumped out the window.
It feels like a real turning point. That portion where they chase him through the hospital. The movie's never as good from that point on. No. It feels like. And like we said, there's fucking hundreds of people around his body while it's smooshed on the ground, and not a single person goes, "What the fuck have we done?" They just all look at him and go, "Ugh," and just sort of walk off.
Yeah, no, but that's where you just quietly whistle and put your hands in your pockets and leave without...
that's the Bob's fault. I wasn't part of that.
Like, what you say is, look, fucking collateral damage.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I was just after the ring.
Yeah, shit.
Oh, dear. Those fucking kids. I wish Michael had knocked them all off. Pack of
smug
assholes.
At the end, yeah.
Very smug. That was a small one.
Yeah.
It felt that the girl at the front, when I first saw the girl at the front, I thought, that's the little girl from Psycho Goreman. It wasn't, of course, but, I looked at it and I'm like, she's showing the same kind of demeanour, but in Psycho Goreman, it was supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
I guess one of my last ones is Laurie and Hawkins. Like, why are we all of a sudden tossing out this lost love sort of angle between the two of them?
I think it was because she was in love with Ben Kramer and then we
Peter Brock fucked that up for everyone.
She was looking for other potential suitors.
No, but it just felt like why are we tossing that out? We don't bother to talk about. We don't bother to elaborate on what happened in the house when Hawkins shot his co-worker there, his partner.
And then they use a kind of switch the gun and...
Yeah, we do the little police corruption thing, but then we spend a couple of minutes with Hawkins he's not really professing his love, but he's kind of like, oh, you know, I had a bit of a thing for you and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we've seen the pair of them combined 3 to 4 times in an hour of the movie, and all of a sudden we're dropping this. Why waste time on it?
Look, he was drugged out.
He was drugged.
He was drugged out. Yeah, no, 100%. This is where you cut the fat.
That's
so
right.
You cut it out of some of these bits.
It didn't need to be
90
there.
minutes of film.
That's right. I just felt like that. I'm looking at that, and especially, you know, when we're going back to those two for the It's Not About You, Laurie, and all this sort of shit, when you look back at it, that just felt like fluff. It didn't need to be there. And I guess my last one is, I mean, when we're flip-flopping on mob justice, and we've said it's not good, and then it is good when we're taking Michael out, why do we flip-flop again and they all of a sudden stop?
Yeah.
Like, you got the bloke on the ground, we've got irons and cricket bats, we can finish the job.
I think when he's on the ground, that's where you unroll the iron.
Yeah. I was saying, if anyone got an extension cord, I could give him a nasty burn while he's down there.
Yeah. Just put that on his back and turn it on.
But we seem to have guns that then disappear when he's lying on the ground and then
it's
waiting
empty.
to finish the
Remember?
job.
When he actually gets back to his feet, the guy tries to shoot him again. And
But come on, we're in the States.
Oh, yeah.
Someone else is concealed carrying.
Yeah, for sure. There's half a dozen people without a fucking permit.
But even then, they all stop. It's like, oh, the job's half done, and he's fallen over. Yeah, we'll just stop and we'll have a look at him for a bit. Instead of old mate with a cricket bat coming in and fucking lay it in and just, you finish the job.
I'm working on the straight drive.
Yeah.
Straight through.
He's got a reputation. You sorted it out.
I just feel like, you know, you've rolled back your message on vigilante justice and decided, yeah, it's all right when it's Michael Myers, but then you pull up short. It's just it was really frustrating because it felt like, I mean, we kind of knew what was going to be coming. There was going to be some sort of fight back or whatever. There was a moment, though, when I looked at it and I was like, it's going to work. And I felt like, okay, I'm keen to see where they go with that.
Yeah.
So for it to be unravelled by, you know, fucking 10 people who are raging and flailing and hitting and then they all go, stop, just hold there, hold up.
Yeah.
Let's just check that it's, you know, it just felt so stupid. It just felt out of character with what they had built up the whole night.
I mean,
and is that what you're trying to tell us?
For people's bloody blood.
Are you trying to tell us that, oh yeah, shit, the short guy, we accidentally killed him. Maybe this isn't Michael Myers. We better double check. But hadn't he wandered out without the mask on prior to that? So that doesn't even feel right. Like, I just looked at that.
The photograph on the TV was him without the mask on.
That's right. And
so
he walks out.
It was him.
He walks out to pick up the mask into Karen's little trap where they all see him without the mask standing there, and then he bends down to pick it up while they're surrounding him. It just didn't hold up at all. Like, if you are confirming that it's him and, oh yeah, we fucked the other one up, but this is the right guy, you're going all out, aren't you?
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
So that was, it was just one of those things where it's kind of, I mean, you expect some dumb logic in kind of horror movies and especially Halloween movies to get where we've got to, 12 movies deep. But that was just too much for me.
Agree. Anything else?
We've been to enough karaoke nights to realise that a story's not going to hold a crowd.
No!
Tommy, you're getting fucking booed off stage, bro.
A story's not going to hold a crowd.
They're just going to get back to their conversation.
Old mate with a ventriloquist is being thrown out by his pants.
He's being killed.
If he belted out a bit of darkness, I believe in a thing called love
Do not
first.
even get me started about David Strath.
Oh, shit.
If he throws out a bit of superstition or a bit of darkness, I believe in a thing called love to set the mood and then tell a story, maybe he would have had
It's a
some
craft.
buy-in.
You need to build. You need to build.
Get the audience with a good tune first, and
and
then
tell
go
a
and use.
bullshit story, and you know that he's been telling that story every fucking year.
That's right. My Michael Myers poetry slam is not getting well received.
At the very least, bring out Hacky stuff.
But yeah, old mate with the ventriloquist dummy, Old Huckleberry is getting shoved up his backside in about 2 minutes.
It's part of the
get the
show.
fuck off.
He does his ventriloquist show, then he gets beaten to death.
We've already seen what this mob is like. You know, they're ready to belt the shit out of Michael Myers at the drop of a hat. I'm pretty sure he's in the firing line as well.
Somebody's taken his fucking head off. I hate ventriloquism. It's just shit. Sorry.
What do you mean?
Sorry.
I never knew you had those kind of feelings.
I just, it doesn't do anything.
I mean, I'd have probably booed him off, but you want to take his fucking head off.
Well, the baseball bat's there for a reason.
Yeah. Old Huckleberry's been here for 100 years to deal with ventriloquists.
Yeah, and every talent night they say we'll put a ventriloquist on the ticket just to fire up the crowd. I mean, if you put a bloody ventriloquist act at the Blind Beggars Inn on a Saturday night, these people cannot be held responsible for what they do.
Yeah, there's no second show.
Yeah, it's one night only.
Yeah.
One night only gig. Shit. Alright, is that everything? Because you've really ripped that movie.
You sure you want to stay on 3?
Yeah, I'm still at 3 stars somehow, but
Sure
I had a whole lot of issues with it.
You sure you don't want to go up to the snake eyes?
Give it a promotion.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
I believe I went for 4 stars for 2018. So this
Yeah.
is quite a drop off.
I think I revised. I think I was at a 4, but after seeing it a second and third time, I kind of settled around the 3.5 range. But yeah, this one had way more problems.
Yeah.
But it's still 3 stars.
Oh, yeah, it's that good.
If there was more ventriloquists.
Oh, shit. I'll keep knocking stars off if that occurred. I think that guy was on screen twice, too. Alright, that was Halloween Kills. You can find us on Podomatic, iTunes, Spotify, and any place you get your podcasts. Our email address is thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for details of our next episode. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.